Welcome back to Goolwa Beach in South Australia. We're here for a day of pursuit. In many ways, it's a day of pain. And now it's time for the Uncle Toby's Ironmen to hit the beach. Hello, I'm Matthew White. Thanks for joining us once again. This is round 4 of the Uncle Toby Super Series. The format is pursuit. And Grant Kenny, it is one of the toughest races all year. It's even tougher today.
It certainly is. Goolwa has a few unique things about it, 3 in particular that make this format so hard. As you can see, the wind is blowing about 20 and up to 30 knots, and it's blowing across the beach. That's generated a very strong sweep right to left as you look out to sea, making the competitors really push down the beach when they come in. The second thing is that these conditions here, it's a very long and unpredictable break, so they're really pumping in and out of surf for a long time, and seconds really count in this format. We've broken the sport down to its 4 disciplines. We're adding up the time for a handicap start in the final run, and the other thing is it's so cold, so in each of the 15-minute races, these competitors will be up here shivering, literally, in the rest tent.
Well, you mentioned the word long. It's going to be a long day for these competitors. Now, these are the series points, the top 10 after 3 rounds. That was the halfway mark. And take a look at that. Guy Andrews out in front by 3 points. Josh Blair, Thompson, the 2 kings, Meyer, Hughesner, Reeves, Pullen and Martin. But when you adjust the points, when they drop their worst result of the series so far, that's when it gets interesting. Andrews, Blair and Meyer are all tied at the top. And look who sneaks in to the bottom. That is Corey Hutchings. So that's how they'll start today. That was your top 10. And these are the rest of the competitors. Kai Hurst is in 12th position. Obviously, he's the one to look out for in the swim. Trevor Hendy and Dwayne Thuys down there, 19th and 20th overall. Don't forget, this is Dwayne Thuys' home beach. And the Mercer brothers are back for this one. They missed out on Trigg, but they will be back for the pursuit format. And that'll be their first test of the pursuit as well. Well, this beach is tricky. It's tough. Out in the water, it's cold. But down on the sand is Guy Leach. And that's where things could really be decided on the sand, Leachy.
Well, Matty, it is unbelievable down here. We had the women's race just earlier, and the wind was probably 20, 30 knots. It must be now 40 or 50 knots down here. I can barely see. There's so much sand coming into my face. The run leg will be decided. We'll decide the race today. We need to look to the guys like Joshua Blair. Also, Guy Andrews has to be a firm favourite for today's race. He loves the confidence side of things. But also Scotty Thompson, a veteran who runs so well. Just these guys need to be up there in the water leg. It's very, very treacherous out there, and I'm not looking forward to going out there on the ski can today.
Thank you, Leachy, and I get the feeling that you are not alone, because look at the guys on your screen there. They don't look as though they're too keen to get into the water at all, regardless of whether they've got a ski beneath them or not. But we're starting, of course, with a swim. There's Dean Mercer just holding onto the pole there, number 34. And number 21 on his shoulder, that's Dwayne Thuys. This is his home beach, and they're away now. They're all taking off together, and look at them bunch up as they all take off 1.8 kilometres worth of the swim.
Yes, and the reason they're all bunched up against that end of the line, of course, is this very strong crosswind that I mentioned just a little while ago. It's making them very strong sweep along the beach. So what they do is to cater for that strong sweep, they run up the beach, then swim straight out and let the drag bring them back down onto the straight line.
And you might have noticed, if you were watching our Meadow Lee Iron Women's Series race earlier today, you would have seen how the girls had tremendous trouble by the time they got out to go back into the water. They were just appearing 800 metres off their mark, and it was quite crazy in some circumstances. So the guys were watching that race. They know exactly what's going on.
Absolutely. In fact, as a result of that, the organisers have in fact moved the turning boards a little bit further to the west, upwind a little bit, so that it will make it a little easier for the guys. But all the same, the wind has increased as well. Let's see what the swimmers will be doing here today. It's a standard M-shaped course. They're heading out on the left-hand side of your screen, back in around the Uncle Toby's turning flag on the beach, then back out into the water again and back to the beach. And as Matty mentioned, 1.8 kilometres of swimming all up. That should take them about 20 minutes, although with these conditions it's very, very difficult to judge the overall time.
And I'll just run through the race order for you. We start with a swim, 1.8 kilometres, as Grant mentioned. Then we're going to have a ski. They'll have a 15-minute recovery time in between. The ski is worth 4 kilometres. The third leg is a board, and then it comes down to 5 Ks worth of running along this sand here, which is quite hard. But as we saw in the women's, it's also quite tricky, because the females didn't know whether or not to use sand shoes or not. Guy Andrews yesterday was certain that he was going to. Today he's not so sure. The prize money for today, $15,000 up for grabs for the winner, $11,250 for second, and just over $9,000 for third. Goes right down to 10. So there's big cash on offer, and also the Super Series winner. When we get to the end of the year, we'll collect a Holden Frontiera along with a whole host of other bonuses as well. Plenty of cash up for grabs, and the big names moving through. That's Nathan Meyer on your screen.
Yeah, Nathan's really had a great season. He is the current world short course Ironman champion. And and he's been putting in a great effort so far in the Uncle Toby series this year. And with that bit of a wade to start with, he's got long legs. He's been running pretty well. He finished 8th place in the Super Series in the 96-97 series. As you can see there on the Uncle Toby's Energy Plus race profile, it's on Nathan Meyer. Strongest leg to board, but he really is making a great effort of this swim.
And as we saw at the top of the show, Grant, it's quite remarkable how this season's panned out, because there is now three of these competitors tied for first spot. Guy Andrews, Nathan Meyer and Joshua Blair. On the adjusted series, Nathan Meyer was a little bit further down, but he got rid of his worst result, and he's back up there, the man to beat, as one of 3 men to beat at the moment.
Yeah, of course, what that really means, though, is that he's already dropped his worst race. So for him, it's all important to have 3 more good races as we come up the end of this series. But you can see the competitors now starting to make their way towards the back end of the break, and out there on the Uncle Toby's ski cam is Guy Leach, and Kai Hurst. Guy is really starting to pull up alongside Nathan Meyer now.
Grant, he certainly is. Nathan Meyer got a great start thanks to the bank that he worked so well, being 6'4". Kai Hurst, though, is coming up right next to us as we speak. I'm just off to the left of him. Right behind him, Craig Hackett, and then Simon Martin. Then there's a gap of about a body length, and Trevor Henry's up there. Trevor Henry's doing a great job, the best swim we've seen him have this season, so early in the race. And then the rest of the field is way down the beach. They've gone way down, thinking that this wind will bring them back. Well, let me tell you that at the moment it looks like that might be a good thing, because Nathan Meyer, Kai Hurst and that group there, they're right on the buoy at the moment as I look out to sea. And it is very, very windy out here, very choppy, hard to see where you're going. And these guys are looking up all the time, trying to work out where this can is. So if they go down the beach any further, it's going to be very, very hard for them to swim back into it.
Yeah, Leisha, I'm just wondering about that, because as we sit on the beach and look out, that pack that you're next to, led by Kai Hurst now, with Nathan Meyer in there as well, and I noticed Simon Martin was also up there in that pack. From where I sit, they're probably 40 metres below the line. That is downwind of the line. And as they get out there to the can, they're going to have to turn and swim pretty much straight into this really strong wind. The other pack, as I can see it, would they be about 30 metres further in, but on a much better line to the can?
Yeah, you've got it there. They're back about 30 or 40 metres up the beach, though, trying to use this wind to come onto the can. As we speak, Kai Hurst has had a look. He'll have a look up when he gets over this chop here, just to see what he's doing. He would be, I'd say, about 15 metres off course, but just give me 1 second. I'm going to get over the swell here. Oh. It's breaking out the back here, actually. There's a whitewater breaking right in front of me as we speak. It's wild and woolly out here. It's amazing conditions, it really is. But Kai Hurst, he's got enough power, and I think he's just broken away from Craig Hackett and the other field that are sitting right back. I think they're back enough to really not make much difference. I mean, you can put your house on the fact that Kai Hurst will get around that first turn he can.
Yeah, he certainly will. Leachy, no doubt, will be keeping his distance today, because it's a little bit tricky out there, and I don't think these fellas would appreciate a ski in the side of their head at this type of racing date. Let's take a look at this style of Kai Hurst, and I've got to say, you can never get sick of the form of this guy. We'll take you through the details on his Energy Plus profile. Winner of the Super Series trial. Well, next to that, it should be Dominator, because he absolutely blitzed him, and that's when we started to know that this guy was going to be something special. But just look at the way he gets through the water there. I mean, he's just amazing, kicking hard and just goes through those chops like it's a straight line.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do, is these conditions, and it's a fantastic shot from the chopper there, but what you can't quite see is how tall each of these chops are. What you'll notice, and there's a better perspective of it, is he'll dive under every sort of real steep one if it fits into his stroke better, and hold his breath, streamline, pop out the other side. It takes a lot of the up and down out of the stroke and lets his body just maintain a little bit more speed. And you see him, he's got some really classic high arm action there. Just an absolutely beautiful technique, an awesome amount of power. He really gets that hand out a long way in front of him. See him reaching right out underwater, then he really locks on and really drives his body forward. Let's take a look now and see where the rest of the pack is. There he is, Kai Hurst on the left of the screen, about to turn around the can. That second pack looks like it's led by Craig Hackett, so that's no mean feat to pull away from him. Nathan Meyer is still there, and Simon Martin still on his feet. So coming on that pack on the left-hand side, I think that was probably the worst line, but it was made up of this pack who are really strong swimmers. So Simon Martin, he must be happy with that position, because he's had a bit of an up and down season so far, but really swimming well here today.
Well, Craig Hackett, he's the man leading the chase for Kai Hurst. 15th place last year in the Super Series, 12th the year before that, and 22nd in his first year in the series. Of course, he likes the swim. With the last name Hackett, you can understand why, because his brother's been absolutely blitzing them as well. We're really blessed this year to have so many tremendous athletes in this entire series, and in particular across the different legs. Look at them bash across each other now. Nathan Meyer and Simon Martin get a little bit tangled up, but nothing too fancy. Nathan Meyer is a big fellow, and so too is Simon Martin. They're probably two of the biggest guys that are here, and this is the third pack. Look at the yellow singlet. That's Guy Andrews. He has the leader's singlet on at the moment, and it's just tough just getting around that boy by yourself, not to mention when you've got somebody crawling all over you.
That's right, that was Dwayne Thuys there. I can see Scotty Reeves going around. Corey Hutchings is in there. Look at that, a bit of biffo going on there. What's happening is the wind is forcing the guys back down onto the can, and they're all trying to get around tight. Michael King's jammed up in the middle of that, just manages to get around. I think I saw Dean Mercer in there as well, so there's a lot of competitors. There's Trevor Hendy going around now, just washing under that can. You can see the same thing is happening to all the competitors. We see Grant Wilkinson was the last of those competitors to go around the can, but Kai Hurst is on his way back in now, and notice the difference now. He's running with the wind a lot more. It's still coming across him a little bit, but he's now getting assistance from the wind and the chop. He's got a nice high body action, and he'll try and accelerate onto each of those wind swells as they come past him.
So relaxed, isn't he? I mean, it'd be easy out there with so much going on around you and people crawling all over you and that kind of stuff. It'd be easy to get yourself rushed and get nervous. Almost got a little run there, but he just looks so relaxed out in front, and there's no drama at all. But take a look at the difference. Leachy's right in between Kai Hurst and the next pack chasing. Now, Kai is to the left of your screen. The rest are over to the right. Leachy right in between you as you look back to the beach. Who's got the better line?
Well, it's very, very hard for me out here. It's just so choppy, Matt, to really tell what's going on. But as we look, I think you need to be as far to the left as I look back into the beach, or you're right looking out, because make no doubt this wind and this drag down the beach is really, really extreme. And the swim league, you can't go that fast compared to the board of the ski. And if you've gone too far down, it just takes too much energy to come back with it. We saw in the women's race this morning that a few of the competitors actually lost races in the swim league because of that. So I think that they're starting to look up now. They would have picked, there's a crane directly behind where you guys are stationed, and they would be looking at the crane to sort of line that up and give themselves a good run to the beach. Yeah,
I was just about to mention that, Guy. This is one of the big mistakes this morning, and I think Kai Hurst is probably doing the same thing now. I mean, he's absolutely excelling in the swimming itself, but he really hasn't held his line back very well. He's already drifted about 50 metres down the beach, and the classic technique is to pick something on the beach that's prominent that you can swim for, because the beach is very difficult to see in these choppy conditions.
All right, let's take a break from the water at the moment and go down to the sand. Tim Bailey's got our race referee, Rod Taylor.
Yeah, Tails, there's problems out there, obviously. This swim is going to go way over time. It's difficult conditions, to say the least.
Extremely difficult conditions. The way we've got this drift running from west to east, we're probably adding maybe 2 or 3 minutes to each different part of the swim leg.
It's just incredible, the wind, 40 to 50 k an hour, the sweep. It took them like 1 minute to swim 40 metres there a second ago.
Yeah, one of my senior race officials out in the water has just told me that it's taken Kai Hurst, one of the best swimmers in Australia, it's taken him to do 50 metres, 40 seconds, and then to do the final 40 metres to get to the can to turn it, it's taken him a minute. So as they're getting further and further out to sea, the current's getting stronger.
We're getting wind blown down here, but they're doing it much tougher out there. Back to you, Matty.
Thanks, Tim, and thank you, Rod, too. I don't envy Rod Taylor's job trying to get this put together, but he does do a fantastic job, along with all the staff here, Barry Newman and Graham Bruce as well, doing fantastic work. Now Kai Hurst gets himself a wave, and he's off. He's away, Kai Hurst. Look at that. Look at the speed he's got going behind him. Once again, fantastic skills. You'll see it time and time again with Kai Hurst, but he is, by the time he looks up, he'll be looking up and seeing the wrong end of the beach. He's got a lot of running to do by the time he gets out of this.
Yes, well, Craig Hackett is leading that second pack in on a much better line, but certainly Kai Hurst has picked up what it really takes. These little waves, very, very difficult to get on. The sea we're seeing here now, and here's the second pack. This is still Nathan Meyer on your right, Craig Hackett bottom left, and top left of your screen, Simon Martin. But what we've seen here, we're seeing a lot of... Oh, Nathan Meyer just got a little lift off that. There's a lot of white water, but there's not a lot of power, so it's very hard for these guys to capitalise on all this white water. And out the back, I can tell you, as we watch Kai Hurst get into the area where he's just about to stand up and run, out the back, about 8 competitors have pulled a little wave. So Kai Hurst now just coming through the last bit of this shallow water. He'll stand up off this, and he looks up. He already knows he's well down the beach, and he starts that big run back to the Uncle Toby's turning flag. Now, if any of the other competitors can get a wave, and I can see somebody is on a wave, you might see them through the back of the picture here. Yeah, they just flick through there. They're on a better line, so that'll help close that gap up to the swim leader, Kai Hurst.
And really, when Kai went past, I was just watching there, as you said that, Grant, watching the other pack come in. Kai actually came out about 15, probably 20 metres to the left of where they came out. So he had an extra 15 or 20 metres to run, but he's certainly got a lot of length still on them. And another competitor is up and running.
I think it is Dwayne Thuys, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's amazing. Dwayne Thuys from his home beach is back and pops up into second. We hardly saw him throughout the swim. He must have swum the whole thing underwater, because he's popped up and now he's chasing Kai Hurst.
Well, he was right in the middle of that chase pack as they went around the cans. He was probably sitting in about 7th or 8th position there, so still in touch, and that's really what it's about when you get into these sort of conditions.
How's the support there when Dwayne Thuys just came running around? A couple of the guys pumping their fists and saying, get into it, Dwayne. Now, there's Stephen King. He's got the goggles on his head, and Stephen King coming up in about 3rd position. The rest of the pack is starting to chase now. So what a tremendous performance from Dwayne to get in front of his home crowd and get him going straight up at the top of the race.
Yeah, certainly is. Nathan Meyer running through there now. But I tell you what's interesting too is the choice of competitors, as we see Craig Hackett also moving into picture. A lot of them electing to go without goggles, and for my money in these conditions, it probably is a better bet. Let's take a look who we got here. We've got Simon Martin. We've got
Joshua Blair right
there.
him.
We've got Kane Hushner. We've got Sean Kenny, Corey Hutchings. Gee, they're all up there. Michael King, I can see. I think that looks like Dean Nurse's head in the back there, right behind Lan Durra. Jonathan Crow, series leader Guy Andrews, won the race Trig Island 2 weeks ago. Also up there, so look at the amount of running. Trevor Hendy is in the mid-back part of that pack. You can see him just off the left of screen now. There he is. The big man, Trevor Hendy, of course, concentrating on the kayaks in preparation for making the Australian team for the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games, and it's probably hurt his Ironman preparation a little bit. Gee, there's some big names back there too. Look at Scotty Reeves, also well back in the swim league.
Yeah, big men, big names as well, right down the back. That is pretty much the tail end of the pack. There's only about 3-4 other competitors. There's someone coming down so far down the other end of the beach that I can hardly make out the figure, let alone the cap colour. And now they're heading all the way back up. Might have given you some perspective on that other shot there, just to see how far they had to run. I mean, they really had a long run. Now they're back into the water. They've got a long swim ahead of them. This is the pursuit. This is Goolwa Beach. Stick around. The Uncle Toby Super Series continues.
9322.
You're watching the Uncle Toby Super Series on Network 10, round 4. It's the pursuit at Goolwa Beach on a wild and windy day, but Kai Hurst is absolutely making the most of it out there. I mean, he's just doing it so easy out in front at the moment, and we think that Dwayne Thuys is still back in 2nd position. So the rest of the pack chasing hard.
Well, look at that. I mean, that's just an unheard of gap. There's your 2nd place competitor coming around now. And is that Dwayne Thuys still? I think it is. If it is, it's an absolutely magnificent performance from him. And that looks like it might be Michael King right on his heels too. So Dwayne Thuys has put in an absolutely magnificent performance. But what about Kai Hurst? I mean, he has opened up a tremendous gap here. And let's remember, that was Michael King. Sorry, Stephen King that was behind Dwayne Thuys, not Michael King. Kai Hurst is opening up the seconds, and that's what this format pursuit is all about. Of course, the times will be, the clock will start when he crosses the line, and I don't think there's any doubt at all, barring a huge wave from out the back to bring somebody else through, that Kai Hurst will be the winner of this swim league. He will come through, the clock will start, and the seconds will start ticking away, and then each of the competitors will receive whatever that time is in penalty. They'll be added together after the swim, ski, and board legs, and that'll be their time that they start off after 0 for the final run leg. And we've just had word from our chopper pilot that the wind in the helicopter just above the course, they have measured it at 40 knots. So the wind now is blowing 40 knots. That's just under 80 kilometres an hour. So that'll give you some idea. You can imagine driving down the road in your car at 80 kilometres an hour and trying to ride your surfboard on the roof. It really is a tough job.
Well, thankfully, Guy Leach is just riding his surf ski out in the surf where he's meant to be. We might go out to him. I think you're down near Kai Hurst, Leachy, and he's really starting to pick it up now and getting a really big break.
It doesn't surprise me. There's 40 knots out here. He's just pulled onto a small little wave. It's just fallen off the back of it. It is so windy out here. I tried to paddle back from down the beach up to where the guys were. By the time I did that, Kai Hurst was around the back of the cans and was coming in. It is the strongest conditions I've ever been in as far as wind goes, and that's 12 years of competing. So you can imagine what these guys are going through here. But he is an amazing swimmer, and he would need every bit of this lead come the board and the ski and the run leg. So he's doing a great job, and he could have 2 minutes if he can get back to the beach and the other guys don't get some big waves in.
And quite simply, Guy, 2 minutes in this kind of format, even though we expected Kai Hurst to be a swimmer, 2 minutes in this kind of format is a hell of a long time for the rest.
I'll tell you the other thing too, he realised from his first time in, didn't he, that he was way off course. And this time coming in, look at him as he runs up the beach here. He's not far from the solo drink station there and the actual tunnel coming to the finish line.
So Kai Hurst has got the swim, got race 1 of this pursuit wrapped up and ready to go. You'll notice here that he won't back off at all, because the sooner he gets himself to the line, it doesn't matter how much energy he's using, he's also buying himself valuable time. The clock will start right now, and the rest of the competitors are going to have to try and catch him. We might go straight down to Timmy Bailey. I don't know if Kai's got any breath left, Tim.
Well, he's puffing, but why wouldn't he be? He's been having a swim in the Simpson washing machine out there. 80 kilometres an hour the wind, Kai. Conditions extreme.
They're extremely bad out there. Like, you know, you're in the water down low, but when we have to paddle a board or a ski, it's going to be so much harder.
This was a big swim from you. You put your head down. Obviously, this is your leg, but it looks like you could have opened up a gap 1 to 2 minutes long.
Yeah, I need it. I'm going into the ski leg, and I know I'm not going to be up there with those front guys, but I don't want to be too far behind, so I knew I had to pick it up and swim.
Can you actually see where you're going out there, like with the chop and the wind?
No, you just cross your fingers.
All right, thank you, Kai Hurst, a great winner in the swim, and pretty pleased to be back on dry land.
I'll tell you what, I hate to see how fast he'd swim if he swam without his fingers crossed, because he seems to go okay. He's crossed his fingers and hope for the best. There's Dwayne Thuys, stands up and starts heading back to the beach. It's already a minute that Kai Hurst has got a lead on these other fellas, so that's Dwayne Thuys. Nathan Meyer is still there, and Stephen King. They're the second group, so 3 in the second group. They are going to accumulate about 1:15, about 1:20. They come through the solo drink station, head up to the finish arch. 1:18 is Dwayne Thuys' deficit, and really it is a penalty. That's what it's all about.
Yes, it is, and actually it's pretty handy for Dwayne. I mean, it's great to see him doing so well, but also it's great for him because he's not one of the better runners in the field. Kai Hurst is in a similar situation. He really needs that lead, and as he mentioned, Kai Hurst mentioned, he's a little bit slower on the ski as well.
Joshua Blair and Lan Durra come in. The Holden race clock on the top left of your screen is what it's all about as far as the deficit goes. And here comes Sean Kenny, came up there. That's Simon Martin and Darren Mercer also. So Sean Kenny, number 27, comes across. Michael King, former series winner, is there as well. Dean Mercer. And number 14 was Craig Hackett. And Simon Martin. So 2 minutes has gone. Kai Hurst has got himself about a minute break from the rest of the from the next competitor in Dwayne Thuys. We're going to take a break as they get their breath. They've got a 15-minute recovery, but we'll be back shortly with more from Goolwa. Beach on Network 10, the Uncle Toby Super Series. We're ready for a start almost in race 2. It will be the ski. But before we get there, I just want to tell you about a Nipathon that is coming up at North Narrabeen Beach. It's coming up in February, the 1st of February, in fact, 1998. And if you'd like to get down there, get hold of the North Narrabeen Surf Lifesaving Club. The numbers there on your screen, of course, they are Sydney numbers. That'll be a terrific day. Now, before we get into the ski, let's take you through what happened in the swim. A fantastic shot from our chopper shows the ski all lining up. They're getting ready to head back out, but they've already had the swim, and Kai Hurst won it. But it's not the fact that he won it, Grant Kenny. It's the fact that he's got 1:18 on the next competitor, which is Dwayne Thuys, who'd be more than happy being where he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Dwayne's happy about is not that he's 1:18 behind Kai Hurst, but he's in front of the rest of the pack as we look at them all now. Sean Kenny back in racing again this year after a few years off. It's great to see him back up with a bit of strength. Jonathan Crowe there in 13th position. Kane Huster in 15th. I thought he might have been a little bit further up than that.
35 competitors out there today. Guy Andrews currently 22nd position, 2.5 minutes behind the leader at the moment. All accumulated times going to the 4th event of the day, which is a run. And Boyd Jamieson there in 34th. Well, he'll be disappointed with that because he is a bit of a local. They love him down here, and they're ready now for the start of the ski. 4 kilometres worth of ski. You already know that the conditions are quite terrible. Well, jump yourself on a ski and they get twice as hard.
Yeah, really hard, especially in the start. The good thing about the start here, or what makes it a little easy, is the fact that it's quite shallow and a consistent bottom. So that's easy for the guys to start. But you'll notice that all the skis are pointing along the beach. Not only have you got this really strong wind, but you've got the current that it's generated as well. So all the guys, and they're off now, have had their skis angled up into that current, and Craig Hackett on the bottom of your screens had an absolute shocker of a start. Really something you don't want to have to do at the start of this ski leg is be chasing, although he is at the good end of the line. He's got the wind assistance to come back down on those competitors to his left.
That was quite strange, and I wonder whether Craig Hackett just didn't hear the gun, because he's so far up the other end, and whether or not he missed it or he just slipped trying to get onto the ski.
What he tried to do actually was to run with it, like to bunny hop a couple of times before he jumped on, and in some cases it can be a little bit quicker, but at risk, you really increase the risk of slipping when you're trying to get on, which is in fact what ended up happening. And in these conditions, the safest thing to do is to just get your backside in that ski as quickly and safely as possible, and then start paddling. And unfortunately, that's cost Craig Hackett a considerable amount of time, as the leaders, the centre of the pack that just got on and got away cleanly, powering out through the surf now. I can't quite see who that is out in front at the moment. It looks like I really can't see there, but I could see that Corey Hutchings was up there. Guy Andrews was closing in on the leaders. Michael King, there's your leader, Michael King from Coolum Beach on the Sunshine Coast. As expected, one of the stronger ski paddlers, but Trevor Hendy was also up there well, and of course, Trevor paddling very strongly at the moment due to his kayak preparations. Let's take a look at the ski course now. This is what the guys will be paddling over. It's a 4-kilometre course, as we've already mentioned. Out on the left-hand side there, then they're going to go anti-clockwise around that those cans, make their way along out the back, eventually then back in to the finish line. So 4 kilometres in total, as you can see, a few times to come in and out through the break there, which is why there's going to be plenty of action. Now look at this in terms of tactics. The guys on the top of your screen have got a long way to paddle up to the turning can. They really do have some work. Down on the bottom of the screen, Michael King, that is, down there next to the jet ski, has got a much better line in terms of dropping down with the wind as they approach that first turning can. So a little bit of interest here to see who has picked the best line. But that's Michael King that we're watching now as he punches his way out through this 30 to 40 knot wind here at Goolwa. 26th position in the Super Series last year, as we can see on the Uncle Toby's Energy Plus white bread profile. And Kingy was a former series winner. He says his strongest leg is the ski, and his favourite event is the enduro. That's the continuous 1.5 to 2 hour type format. This probably doesn't suit him too well because he doesn't carry much body fat at all, Kingy, and also suffers a little bit from the cold, so hopefully it won't have too much of an effect on him here today.
Most of the guys that do train up there on the Sunshine Coast don't like it anyway. I mean, they think it's cold in Sydney sometimes. Then they get to Portsea at the end of the day, at the end of the year, and they think, what the hell am I doing here? It's just a little bit too cold for us.
Mate, at the Sunshine Coast, we think it's cold at the Gold Coast, but certainly we're a long way from there here at Goolwa, and it is quite cool in the water, and it's very, very strong wind, of course. Does tend to make it even colder. The thing you'll notice too with most of the competitors is that they won't have too much of a problem with the cold while they're competing. It's handling it during that 15-minute recovery period they've got after each of these disciplines that does make it really hard on them. They get in the tent, they get rugged up, and then they've got to go back out and get the gear off and just get that wind and cold blowing back on them again.
It'd be interesting to see what type of things they do in the recovery tent as well, as we look at Scott Reeves heading out there in the green cap there on the white ski. He is taking it out, so he's on the other side to Michael King, and he's paddling into it, so he's got a bit of a harder job as far as Michael King goes. But as I was saying about the recovery time, we saw in the Meadow Lee Iron Women race that some of the women were putting hot water bottles on their feet. They were all rugged up with robes and so on. These guys, they'd be doing exactly the same thing. You've got to keep warm and keep active.
Yeah, keeping active, I think, is a pretty important part of it. There are two things to consider during the rest. One is you need to keep some sort of a heart rate up, keep the blood flowing through the body to get rid of the lactic acid that builds up. And, of course, you've got to stay warm. But out there where it's quite cool and windy at the moment, right next to the action is Guy Leach.
Yeah, well, King is getting to that first can as we speak right now. Scotty Reeves is looking strong, as is Simon Martins. Stephen King's in there as well. Also, Jonathan Crowe. Guy Andrews in the yellow singlet is making his go as well. And then the rest of the pack's coming through. I can see Trevor Hendy And Michael King's let the sails out. He's coming down with the swell and the chop, the southwester, which is blowing really, really strong at the moment. And they'll fly down the rest of the course down to the other end. There's a big pile up on the first canvas. I see Glenn Cowdery get caught up there, yeah.
Oh, he's just been stuck. He was stuck there for almost the entire time you were talking there, Leach. And that looks like Josh Blair trying to get himself around as well.
Josh, what happened to Josh is he got caught up in that. He was an innocent bystander, but he was right behind Glenn Cowdery there and just couldn't get around him with the wind blowing the way it was. It was just like somebody putting a roadblock up in front of him.
You know, that's twice it's happened to Josh now. It happened in the last race on the board when they came around and one of the competitors missed and poor old Josh was caught up in the mess at the back. But that's the field spread out, really spread-eagled across there. You might have noticed that Guy Leach had got himself a nice rubber ducky to take his seat in after 12 years competing and paddling around on the skis. He thinks it's too tough out there. Gives you an idea. There's Glenn Cowdery just caught. Stopped dead right next to the can. Tries to push it off. And look at the log jam.
Yeah, well, what's happened there is he's got halfway around and the wind is just pushing him now. It's pushing his ski equally on left and right. That's Josh Blair's bow come into picture now, bottom left. The red, yellow and blue bow. And you can see the wind has pushed the back end of his ski back around, making it even harder to get around. So really terrible. The amount of ground he would have lost, as we saw before that fantastic chopper shot. Look at Michael King. He's taking advantage of this massive tailwind now. The ski's just surfing along, reaching speeds in excess of 20 kilometres an hour. That's about how fast these runners are travelling along out the back. And, of course, the skis are doing the same pace. So you can imagine being caught up on the can for 10, 15 seconds. You lose a lot of ground at that sort of speed.
And our chopper shot gives you a wonderful perspective, rather, on what they're doing. But hang on. There's another competitor there stuck.
Dean Mercer has missed the can.
So he's going to have to go back. Look at that try and negotiate. I mean, it's hard enough getting around it, and there's no reverse on these things. He's got to get himself backwards and come around.
Yeah, the difficult thing is while he's trying to go backwards, it's also blowing him back on the... it's blowing the back of the ski around, so he can't, in fact, turn it and point it in the right direction. So bad luck there for Dean Mercer. Geez, that cost him a terrible amount of time. Look at these runners, competitors just sitting there surfing around the corner. Kai Hurst goes around now just behind Josh Blair, who had that incident on the first lap. And there's Craig Hackett. Look how much time that's cost him. That bad start we spoke about earlier, that really has cost him a lot of time.
The remarkable thing about this format for the skis, Grant, as we see, they've got they've probably got about 6 turns to go around, and every can there's going to be problems like that.
Yeah, I think the guys aren't really just allowing quite enough distance. I didn't see what happened to Dean that put him in that position in the first place, but typically, if they don't allow enough room, incidentally, that looks like Jonathan Crowe, who's now taken over the lead from Michael King. If they don't allow enough room, these big chops that are coming will actually just very quickly move them to the other side of the can. And what's happening is the can is being dragged through the water, or the waves are going past it. As a wave builds up, the can the line's very tense. The swell goes past, and the can can snap back about another 1 or 2 metres. And if you're coming at the turn at 20 kilometres an hour, and all of a sudden somebody moves it, or the ocean moves it across by a metre, bang, you're on the wrong side and it's all over. So really, in these conditions, it's a little bit better, I think, to be safe than sorry and allow yourself another couple of metres.
So even on those runs that you get when you think you're getting a helping hand out of the ocean, you're actually not. It can be quite dangerous. You could even see a couple of these guys make the rare mistake of falling off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because what will happen is while they're going that fast, the skis get really quite twitchy. The rudder obviously has a lot more responsiveness at high speed. They're designed to give you good controllability, not only at high speeds, but also when you're going out. So when you're coming downwind at such a great speed, you need a lesser movement of the rudder pedals to give you the same sort of control over the ski. And you'll find that downwind in particular, they could come off. The other thing that could happen here is that while we're paddling upwind, you'll see they'll bunch up because the competitors are trying to take advantage of the wash that the other skis are generating. The risk there is one of two things. The bow of the guy riding your wash, and you can see the white ski in third on the left-hand side of Michael King there. If he just comes across a little bit to the right, Michael King's paddle could hit on his, knocks the paddle out of his hand, he'll be in a flash. The second possibility is that your paddle actually gets caught between the rudder and the ski of the other competitor next to you and gets jammed in there. Once again, trying to get it out, you could fall off. But Jonathan Crowe now out in the front and doing it well.
They're heading straight back upwind now as we take a look at the Energy Plus profile of Jonathan Crowe. 10th place last year. He's been doing quite a lot of work over in Hollywood instead of the beach. So he likes the ski and the swim. Favourite event, the Enduro, and he's doing it okay at the moment. Guy Leach is still out there with him. A bit of a different scenario when they're heading upwind, isn't it, Leachy?
It certainly is, and it was a smart move by Michael King just to tuck in behind Jonathan Crowe. who's doing all the work back into this 70, 80 km/h wind. Simon Martin's next to him. Then we've got Scotty Reeves and Stephen King's doing a great job. Guy Andrews sits in behind him. And then we go back, we can see Darren Mercer, Dwayne Thuys, also Nathan Myers up there as well. Scotty Thompson's there, and Trevor Hendy. Then there's a big pack of guys coming through. So at the moment, Crowy's doing all the work.
And for most of the series that we've seen so far, you get used to the Indian file kind of thing. They're all pretty much in a straight line. But here, we saw when they started, they all shot off in different directions. Now they're getting into a normal sort of routine that we're used to seeing, and that's simply because they're all heading upwind.
Yeah, upwind, of course, you can take advantage of the wash of the competitors around you. Downwind, you want to take maximum advantage of the ocean, so everybody spreads out and goes for every bit of water they can get. And you'll see the competitors, when they're running downwind, their peripheral vision changes a little bit. In this situation, they're concentrating on a bit of water really quite close to them, except for probably Crowy, who's out in front. He'll be looking further ahead to see what's coming. The competitors further back in the field will be really watching within an area of about 1 square metre, and usually if they're wash riding, it'll be right at the hip of the competitor in front of them, because that's where that wash is coming off. That's where they'll get the most advantage, and they'll watch it like a hawk, because as the skis move around, they need to move across with the other guy to stay in that little tiny pocket where they've got advantage. Running downwind, typically they'll look at the water about 10 to 15 metres in front of their ski and about 15 metres either side, and they're looking for hollows. As a hollow develops and you see a steep backside of the wave in front, that's something that's going to give you a bit of assistance.
Well, after the swimmers, they came out there, we mentioned that there were some big names at the back of the pack. You might have seen, just as we swooped up the field there's Michael King on the left and Jonathan Crowe on the right. Now, tucked in behind them, to the left and right again, a couple further back, the big names are back up there. Scotty Reeves was on the right. Guy Andrews in the yellow singlet was back there in the left somewhere. They're not that too far behind. There they are there, in fact. That's Simon Martin in the other white ski.
Andrews, yep.
And that'll be Stephen King in the Citizen Watchers ski. He's right tailing Simon Martin. So Guy Andrews, the big boys, are back up there.
Yes, well, there's plenty of opportunity for them to get back in and start mixing it again. And what we saw Michael King, that move that Kingy made, was he had to actually paddle uphill. I think most people don't realise how hard it is to move from the tail on position to move up beside somebody else. You've actually got to paddle up and over a hill to drop back down into the pocket that the little runner creates. Stephen King sitting in an interesting position. It's pretty much known as heaven from ski paddlers' point of view. It's called a V-wash, and it's probably the biggest wave that you can get created by the competitors around you if you're sitting between two other skis. So he's sitting in really quite a comfortable position there. He'll be doing a lot less work than the competitors immediately in front of him.
Oh, Reeves is off. Scotty Reeves is off. We talked about it. A simple mistake and a rare mistake from the defending Super Series champion. He just fell off the side.
And look what that's done. That's Darren Mercer caught up there with him. Darren Mercer. Dwayne Thuys goes around the outside. Mercer was unable to get his paddle in the water. Nathan Meyer goes around the outside. Now Reeves finally gets back to the point where he came off. And look at the waves smashing down onto that buoy. That's what's causing that's what's causing all the grief as they try and turn. Well, how easy is that? One of the best ski paddlers, certainly in this field and possibly in the country, gets knocked off just in no time at all.
You might remember last year at Freshwater when Guy Andrews just toppled off, and it just looked like such a ridiculous mistake, because these guys are so at ease on their craft. I mean, the craft's almost an extension of their body. They look that well and that easy on them. And then when you see them take a tumble as another competitor tries to hold on, look at that. Traffic jam. We need to get some stoplights out there and get them all going around. Who's that trapped there? Trapped right on the green ski. It looks like, I can't make the hat out of that, but...
No, I can't see who that was, but I tell you what's interesting is, for my money, these competitors really need to just give themselves a little bit more room. Let's take another look at Scott Reeves, see what happens. He approaches the can, everything is going normally. Here he comes up towards the buoy there now. Somebody's hit him from behind. That's not where the problem is. His left paddle hit the can, so he went to take the stroke. He would have been putting his weight on that paddle. It's Darren Mercer behind him. He was ready to put the weight on the paddle. The paddle hit the buoy, and there was nothing there to hold him up. So he just lost his balance, and he actually sort of fell away from the paddle. Bad luck for Scott Reeves. Back now to the pack. That is actually the tail end of the pack going around the second turn. That's Boyd Jamieson we can see going around there now. And let's take a look as we pan around to the left and look at the difference in the speed now. Look at that white water, the white caps created by this very, very strong wind.
Well, that was quite remarkable, and this whole event is all about time. It's all about keeping yourself close and eliminating all the time deficits that you get along the way, and that would have cost Scott Reeves quite a fair bit of time. Now, he really needs to get moving and use the most of these little runs to get back in.
And the other thing, of course, is that the ski's his favourite leg. It's the ground where it's the race where he really needed to make up some time, and instead it's turned into a big cost in time terms for him. Jonathan Crowe out the front again now. Michael King's right along him. Look at the two surfing along. You'll see how fast the skis are running through the water now. You'll also see a lot of changes in the lead, and it's not that someone's going harder or easier than the other competitor. It's just that the run will pick up under one and not the other, and then it'll move past the sea very uneven.
That's the way they're coming now. They're coming back towards the beach. They're heading straight back towards the beach at the moment. So you get some sort of idea of what it's like out there. Look at that. It's like a washing machine. They're heading straight towards us at the moment, and they're getting hit from all directions. They're getting pushed from behind. They're getting the spray across their left-hand shoulder, and they're getting little chops and runs that are bumping into them every which way but loose. But here's a little run on the right-hand side. It looked like Jonathan Crowe. Yes, Jonathan Crowe there on the right. Simon Martin in the middle and Michael King on the left. So Michael King just has to get his paddle back into the water and get on top of that run, but that's taking them all the way back into the beach, and that gives you an idea of the pace they're going.
Yeah, Guy Andrews is actually level with these guys, but further down to the east. We can't quite see him in that shot. In fact, as I look out the window, there's Guy Andrews. I can tell you now that he is on the wave in front of those other three competitors. So Andrews now is probably about 10 metres ahead. He's on one wave or one little lump ahead of those other competitors. Now what we've got to do, you'll see Andrews start to angle back across. There's the lead he's got. You can see that swell there is just one swell ahead of the other competitors. He's going to have to angle across to the right of your screen to bring himself down to the Uncle Toby's turning flag.
It's catch-22, isn't it? He has to put, look at that, has to put the legs over the side. It's really catch-22 because you want to get the most out of the run. The wave's going one way, you know you've got to go almost exactly the opposite way.
And the other thing is that these skis, whilst it's very easy on the board to corner across the waves, on the ski it's near impossible, as you saw, to keep them straight. Simon Martin's off.
Now it's King. Michael King's gone. He did a flip. He tried to angle, just as we were talking there, tried to angle his way over, and now he's going to have to negotiate. He might have gone again. Well, he got dipped up in that one, so he could well have gone again, but he got angled on the side of that wave, trying to put his legs over. It was too late, too much power. Simon Martin now powers ahead, out in front. He's got the best angle as far as coming back into the beach goes.
Yes, in fact, doing one better than him is Jonathan Crowe, in fact, who's off the right of our screen. You can't quite see it. Simon Martin's got about 15 or 20 metres to move up to the turning flag. You'll see it come in the right-hand side of the picture. He's up and running. Jonathan Crowe is just turning around that flag now. He came in right on line and now is able to get back on. So there it is. Simon Martin is back up there now with Crowe, who came in on a perfect line.
Let's get down to Tim Bailey, because Tim, down there trying to get your ski around that pole might look easy, but it's not in that traffic and in that wind.
The wind is absolutely incredible, 70 to 80 k's an hour. Standing down here on the sand, it can almost blow you over. The seagulls are going backwards down here. It's incredible. The boys can hardly hold their skis in the right position to get back onto them to take on that white water again. It's bedlam down here.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is the pursuit. It's round 4 of the Uncle Toby Super Series. Stick around on Network 10. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to Goolwa Beach. This is the Uncle Toby Super Series. And there's a pretty good word for what's going on out there. Mayhem. You might have seen on the other side of the break as they tried to head back out into the beach. And the conditions that are wild and windy have forced the organisers to make a little bit of a change just in this half of the ski leg. They've actually shortened the second half of it, so it's not going to be so demanding, although they've been out there for a long time at the moment. Jonathan Crowe is still in front and still looking strong.
Yeah, well, they've knocked a bit of time off or a bit of distance off the ski leg, but the time will be about the same. It'll still be the predicted 20 minutes. So that's what the competitors have been training for, and Jonathan Crowe making good work of it. Simon Martin, it was the competitor that you could see behind him. He's probably about 50 metres behind now, and Crowe's making his way back in towards the wave area, and I would say that this little lump that he's on now could end up building up into a wave, and this will be his ride back to the beach. Jonathan Crowe, race leader in the ski leg of the pursuit of the pursuit here at Goolwa. He's pushing hard to try and push that through. Look at the skeet. Now he gets a bit of a break. So this is what it's all about here. You work hard when you need to, and then you back off and take a bit of a breather.
Yeah, Crowe's coming back in express. Now, he has 2 minutes and 12 seconds already as a deficit after the first race, which was a swim, which was won by Kai Hurst. Now he's still trying to get in. Express was the word, and he can take a little bit of a breather now. Simon Martin, who's behind him at the top of your screen, he was exactly 2 minutes behind after the first race. So they head back towards the beach now. They've got a pretty good line. They'll head back towards the beach. They'll get off their skis. Jonathan Crowe will get up and get running. He will be the first man through the solo drink tunnel. Then he'll go up and get himself a rest. And the important thing about this, Grant, is that he's eliminating the deficit that he's already had, which is 2 minutes and 12 seconds. He has to see where everyone else finishes, of course, but now that's how he eliminates it.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is with this one, because Kai Hurst, as we watch Crowe run up to the finish line, and he's really pushing hard, trying to capitalise on as many seconds as he can. But Kai Hurst won the swim, but the next competitor second was 1:18 behind. So really, Crowe is not that far behind Dwayne Thuys in a relative sense, and Dwayne, of course, was the second place competitor in the swim. Second in the ski, though, is Simon Martin. So Jonathan Crowe has just crossed the line. There it is, 4 seconds ago. Simon Martin is running up now, desperately trying to pick up as many seconds as he can.
Let's get down to Tim Bailey. He's got Jonathan Crowe with him.
Crowe, have you ever been in anything like that before?
No, mate, I haven't. When it gets like this and we're training, we pack up our bags and go home. That was tough out there.
I tell you what, it makes Baywatch look a bit easier.
Yeah, put me back there anytime, mate.
Importantly, though, it was a good paddle from you. You dictated terms from the front, which is pretty hard to do in those conditions. You got some valuable time back.
Yeah, definitely. I've been doing a lot of work in the kayak with a few of the guys at home. Adam Dean, who's hopefully be going to the Olympics in 2000, so they've really been helping me, and I just worked the chop there, and the smart thing to do, I think, was come back really a long way, because the guys had trouble coming back around the flags.
And you're celebrating buying a new home as well at Christmas time?
Yeah, I've got that to look forward to tomorrow, mate. Got to move all the boxes.
Crowe, thank you very much. The winner of the ski race will be back with all the results after this commercial break. And Hendy and Andrews are going to come over this.
It was the second last round at Freshwater, and we actually had to get in the top 4 to qualify for the final round.
Hendy's got it as well, I think.
Guy Andrews and I were out in front and were sprinting for a board wave.
He's pulling hard, and yes, he's come over it as well.
Next minute I dropped off the top of the wave and nosedived on the board.
Oh, and Hendy's dropped it. Hendy's lost his board.
And I was thinking in my head, if I have to swim in here, I'll miss out and I won't qualify for the final.
Whoa, I've never seen that.
And I just sort of leapt off the board into the whitewater, and for the next probably 3 or 4 seconds I was inside the whitewater.
And look at him surfing on it. Hendy's come off his board and he's surfing on the same wave. It's extraordinary.
I finally burst out, and when I burst out and looked up at Guy Andrews, he had this look of shock on his face, and we sort of broke into laughter while I was body surfing.
This is incredible. I've never seen anything like this.
I body surfed as far as I could in, and that enabled me to get up and qualify for the next round.
Fallen off the wave, and somehow he's held the body wave right through to the beach. Anybody else would be finished now.
If I remember rightly, I think I won that day, so it was a life-saving manoeuvre.
Also, the Mercer brothers, well, Dean's in the top 10, Darren is in the top 12.
Yes, Steve Meredith had a good ski paddle there in 13th position. 1 minute and 53 behind, though, and of course that's what's important. Trevor Hendy in 20th, 2 minutes and 44 seconds behind Jonathan Crowe.
We'll accumulate all those times for you in just a moment. We'll check out exactly where they stand as they go in to the final 2. But these South Australian waters haven't been kind. Tim Bailey is in the recovery tent.
A bit of drama down here in the recovery tent. I'm with Guy Andrews. Guy, a close call with Michael King.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate in the second leg going out. Michael was just in front of me. He got a back shooter on the ski, and the nose of my ski went straight up under his ribs, and he came off and hung onto his ski, and I stopped for a few seconds to see if he was all right, and he was out of breath, and I thought he was going to sink at one stage, but he managed to pull himself together, and he's out the back now, hurting a bit.
Yeah, well, he collapsed on the beach almost over one of the banners. The doctor's with him. Let's hope the news is good.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, mate. He's incredible. He got back on the ski and he got himself back up there, and, you know, he's going to be hurting in the run, but just credit to him to keep going.
All right, thanks very much, Guy Andrews. Back to the commentary team.
Yes, thank you, Guy, and thank you, Tim. We can update that even further now because we've just been told that Michael King has had to pull out. So bad news for Michael King. He's had to pull out for the rest of the race. The starting times, the accumulated times for you. That's the difference now. 10 seconds behind is Jonathan Crowe from Dwayne Thuys. Michael King, eliminate him off that list because he won't be there for the rest of the day. Dean and Darren Mercer slot up into 7th and 8th overall. So they've got a minute 31 in Darren's case anyway to try and make up. Trevor Hendy's back 3 minutes and 13 seconds back at the moment. It's all getting very tight, very tough as they head into the board leg. It's next, and it's 3 kilometres, so they've got to start making it up that time and start making it up quite quickly as well. And time, by the way, is of the essence yet again as they head back out there with their boards under their arms, ready to fire into 3 kilometres worth of board paddling. Race 3 of the pursuit. The Uncle Toby Super Series rolls on. This is round 4, by the way. We've got another 2 rounds to go after this. So it's all very vital as far as points go. Yet again, they head up towards their right-hand side, and they're actually paddling to a left-hand can at the moment. So that gives you some idea of what the sweep is. So they're heading right up to the other side of the beach. Then they're going to go in and let the sweep do the work for them.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is it's probably worse on the board than any other discipline too, this the effect that the wind has. And I tell you what, a lot of guys have gone in the water. Those on the left-hand side of your screen, in my opinion, have gone in way too early. I certainly would have been making my way further up to the right-hand end of the course, as the competitors on the screen are doing now. It's Kai Hurst there with a yellow cap, you can just see. I really think it would be better on the board to be up there and allowing that wind to push you further down.
Well, you can see them instantly there. That's the people in the middle of your screen. They're the people that Grant Kenny is talking about. The competitors there, they're already getting swept along to the left. Now, there's a whole stream of them heading up towards the right-hand side, and those guys at the right will start drifting across. They'll end up in that position right there.
Yeah, the risk, of course, is, and this is where it becomes a bit of a decision-making process for the competitors, running straight in the water, you're heading out quicker, and you're doing the job in that sense. Look at the angle of them there. The closest to the bottom of the screen, and then they diagonally move across to the right. So the competitors that ran straight in are further out to sea. The ones that ran right up actually wasted that time and are less distance out to sea. But as they go, as they get further and further out the back, that's when they start to capitalise on that decision to run up the beach. So it can be a tough decision to make at times, but I still think that having seen the swim and the ski legs earlier, and as well as at the women before, it would have made a lot of sense to run as far up as you possibly could and just allow this wind to bring you back down on the straight line.
We might see if we can pick up Guy Leach out there. Leachy, I'm pretty sure you've got us there. The conditions in between the last race and this one, well, the swell seems to have picked up a little bit. No, there we go. We don't have Guy out there. He went back out with his ski underneath him, but obviously getting bashed around a little bit. We'll try and get contact with him, but I'm pretty sure, Grant, as we look out the window here, some of the waves out the back are certainly bigger, possibly some of the biggest ones we've seen come through.
Yeah, certainly. I think part of that, part of the reason for that is that the Guy Leach, there is, he's lost his ski. That'll give you an idea of just how hard these conditions are. In fact, I think we can hear the water gurgling around in his microphone right there. I hope that doesn't get into his brain while he's out there. The problem is, as the tide is starting to push in now, it's really starting to kick the swell up. And already, now we mentioned Kai Hurst. He was one of the competitors that ran furthest up the beach and is now back in that lead pack. I can see Brett Tyack there, yellow board, bottom right of screen. He also ran a long way up. So you can see that it's worked quite well for those competitors. So definitely the best decision was to run a lot further up the beach.
All right, just take a look at the conditions. That's Guy Leach's ski. That's what's happened to Guy Leach's ski. Hopefully he's still with us at the moment. He seems to have disappeared, but the wind is just taking that like a rag doll and throwing it down the beach. And that is quite incredible. It just gives you some idea of what these competitors are really challenging out there. Leachy's not only going to have to explain to the boss what he's done with all that equipment, but he's going to have to swim all the way back down there and get that ski back.
Probably dock his pay too for not doing his job in this league, I'd say. But back out to the leaders, and I tell you what, you can just see the spray coming off the front of the board. And of course, in the board leg, because your face is so far down close to the water, you really do cop a lot of wind and water in the eyes. The competitors usually, after paddling boards in these really blustery conditions, complain of stinging eyes just because of that salt getting constantly beat in there. Now, Kai Hurst is currently leading this. He is 16th place on accumulated times after winning the swim and being well back in the ski. He has a 2 minute 51-second deficit on Dwayne Thuys. It is now back leading the board. So really, it's all important, of course. We'll just reiterate once again, these seconds accumulated for the start of the final run leg. And so this 3-kilometre board leg is going to be very important, but certainly for Kai Hurst, it's good news for him to be back up there towards the front of that pack as they make their way out now, still having to push up into this wind. Kai Hurst, of course, from Manly on Sydney's northern beaches, and does a lot of work with Craig Riddington down there. And I'm sure with the sort of calibre of competitors that have come out of that area, he's had plenty of legends, I guess you could say, to learn from.
Let me give you an update on the Guy Leach situation, by the way. We've found him. He's at the head of the Murray River, and he'll be back with us probably by the time we get to Portsea. But Guy Hurst is still out in front. There he is. Leachy's still with us.
And looking good, too. He's found a surfer. Excuse me, mate, have you seen my ski around? He's...
Yeah, somewhere near Melbourne. There it is. We've got it back. But really, that just gives you a graphic illustration of what type of conditions these guys are battling out there. That wind is absolutely horrendous. It's going straight into them, and there's nothing you can do about it but keep your head down and keep your arms in the water and fire away. Now, they seem to have caught Kai Hurst a little bit there. The competitors on the left-hand side of your screen, on Kai Hurst's right, they seem to have tracked him up a little bit, but he's getting a nice little run here and there, and he might maintain a little bit of a lead. Interestingly, back in that pack, Guy Andrews with the bright yellow singlet. It's like a beacon, that singlet, isn't it? It sticks out and says, I was the guy that you had to beat last time and you couldn't get me. This is what you got to do this time.
That's right. Well, Andrews, a minute 38, for example, down on Dwayne Thuys. And if we compare that to Kai Hurst, he is, Guy Andrews has a 1 minute and 12-second advantage at this point in time after the swim and ski legs over Kai Hurst. So there's a lot of interest, really, in the middle of that pack on where all of these competitors are, because once again, that'll be determining where they start that final run leg and the run to the finish line. But Kai Hurst now leading this big pack of 35 competitors out on this 3-kilometre board paddle leg, and really a lot of work to be done yet, and just pushing through these tough conditions.
How hard is it for a guy like Kai Hurst, which you know, he's done 3 races now in the Uncle Toby Super Series. Some of these guys around him have done a whole heap more than that, you know, 20, 30 races they've got through. I think we're up to about 56 or maybe 60 races overall in the series. And Kai Hurst is still a novice in this thing, and he finds himself time and time again leading, whereas you'd like to think, as a young guy, you'd like to think, I might sit behind one of these guys and get a few tactics off them.
Sure, well, he's been up there and he's been with them, but a good competitor will learn quickly from the people around him, and it's a bit hard to get thrown in the deep end and lead, and just by the way these races are constructed, because we see different legs leading off each time, throw him into his best leg, he's bound to be in front. I guess it also depends a bit, though, on how he's going to handle that. Let's take a look at the board course map now. This is the course that they'll be paddling. They're making their way out. They're almost at the cans, right at the top left-hand side of your screen there. They'll make a left-hand turn, go around that square, and follow that all the way around. 3 kilometres in total. There they are, making the turn now, and for the downwind run. Now, there's Dwayne Thuys right next to Guy Andrews. So Dwayne Thuys, a former world board paddling champion, a former world Ironman champion, is well positioned at this stage, but needs to be, because he does it a little tough in the run.
Oh, I just saw Trevor Hendy there try and hold on to his balance. He managed to do it. A couple of the other guys that came around there, Luke Watson was up there as well as they came around with Dwayne Thuys and co. So there's certainly plenty of action as they come around the board leg again, come around the cans rather. That's where we expect it. I don't think we'll see so many guys fall off, because they're smart enough to get down low and ride around that cans instead of being up on their knees. Look at the trouble there.
Yeah,
trouble there as they all bang up together.
Yeah, the problem is, though, as they make their way, as they get to the can, they get jammed against it and can't paddle anymore, so it makes it almost impossible for them to get away. Grant Wilkinson, I think that is there on the red board, has had a bit of trouble. Got washed back around the wrong side of the can there, and that certainly cost him a bit of time, as we saw. Not as bad as the ski leg, though. Matt Reese came around behind him. Sean Kenny is up there as well. And Stephen King well back at this stage. That's surprising from him in the board leg. He, I assume, was one of those pack that went out on the left in the opening part of this board leg, and it certainly has made a difference to those competitors that ran right up the beach and did the hard work early.
Well, I'm glad we stayed with that shot and saw Stephen King go around there, because I thought I saw him earlier, so it must have been Jonathan Crowe further up. Just back up there in the light blue cap, just behind this pack. That's the leading pack as they put their heads down and really fire away back into that. Look at the swell. We're riding along with them here at Goolwa Beach, and that Well, you're right in the driver's seat. You're right next to them, and that is exactly what they're going through. Head down, firing away. Look at the spray from that wind. Quite remarkable stuff and terrific talent just to stay on that board, let alone keep that pace. And it's stroke for stroke with Kai Hurst. We might see if we can drop back through the pack and see exactly who's behind them, because I'm pretty sure that Jonathan Crowe might have been up there. That's the rest of the pack as they come around that can and try and negotiate that swell. One of the competitors almost missed it down the bottom there. Almost missed the turning can because he got a little bit of a ride.
Yeah, certainly tough conditions here. You can see the competitors now pushing back into the wind. Most of them up on their knees and much more powerful paddling position. Every now and then they'll see them drop back down onto their stomach and rest the legs a little bit. That's Wes Berg right up there alongside Kai Hurst. So a couple of newcomers to the season up there and pushing hard in this board leg, and it's a very important board leg too. It's the last of the water legs before we get into the run. But you see nobody really giving an inch there, still push and shove as they make their way up into this very strong wind. It's almost reminiscent of, you see some shots from time to time when the chopper gets a little bit low. We don't have that problem here, but the wind is that strong. It's almost like paddling into a downwash of the helicopter.
Yeah, Wes Berg did his best there. He almost slipped off again, but he did his best. Two young guys out in front. Terrific to see, isn't it? And also goes to show you the way that this whole series is changing. We've got so many talented young Ironmen coming through this country, and you get the feeling that they're lining up, knocking on the door of Uncle Toby, saying, I want to get in.
Well, in fact, that's almost the case. There is we're inundated with phone calls at the beginning of a season from just, you know, an endless supply of talented young lifesavers, and that's what all of these guys are, who want to get involved in this great sport and to be a part of the series. Of course, their opportunity is to come through the trial, and hasn't Kai Hurst shown what a great job you can do from coming through the trial? And let's take a look at Wes Berg. This is his competitor profile, the Uncle Toby's Energy Plus Super Series 96, 97. Well, not surprisingly, he lists the board as his favourite leg and the enduro as his favourite event. And this is fairly reminiscent of an enduro type event, this long, consistent paddling out the back where they're not coming in and out through the break as much. And it's not quite as much of a sprint. It's a little bit more of an endurance type event here. See how much the boards are bouncing up and down, up and down. The competitors got to sit back far enough to lift the nose over, then try and kick it down the other side to keep the board running. Yeah, Wes Berg, a 17-year-old student. He's at the Shoalhaven Heads Club, and his one ambition for this year, the prediction that he made for this season, is to improve on last year's 30th placing. I think he's well on the way to doing that because he's going quite well. In the corresponding event down at Portsea last year, which is where we held the pursuit, Wes came in 28th overall, and I've just got his profile in front of me here. He says what he eats before a race is a berry slushy. What his favourite food is a berry slushy. Well, I think it's very slushy out there where he is at the moment. Certainly is, and he wanted to improve on last year. Well, he's in currently going into this race 20th position overall on adjusted points, so he really is a long way up the ladder from where he was last time. And bearing in mind too, for the competitors, what's really up for grabs here is a contract. Top 20 finishes, of course, will get an automatic start in next year's series, so there's a lot of pressure to make it into that top 20. What about the guys chasing him down, though? Wes Berg and Kai Hurst are going to look over their shoulders and see Nathan Meyer, who happens to have a World Ironman Championship in the short course next to his name. The other guy's called Scott Reeves. Now, he also has himself a Uncle Toby Super Series title to boot as well, so there's certainly plenty of names there. That looks like Dwayne Thuys in the middle with the black cap. It is. So Dwayne Thuys is continuing to put on a tremendous performance here at Goolwa, and I'm pleased to say that Guy Leach, we had to send the chopper down to get him because he was so far away, but he's back in the commentary box. Leachy, what happened out there?
I got a taxi back up here. Cost me $14.
That wind just flipped you off. I mean, it's so strong out there.
What I was trying to do is I was trying to come back behind the board paddlers and paddle up the beach sideways, and I just got caught with a wave, hit me side on, slid off the ski and actually went to grab it, touched it, and the wind blew the ski down the beach 400 metres. Had to go to the beach and run down and get it.
If you could just leave a check behind too, because the network would like to be reimbursed for the equipment that you damaged. And Trevor Hendy is off. Oh, that's so uncharacteristic of Trevor Hendy. Gee, it's unusual to see him back that far and then to get caught up. And I think that was Kane Houston right next to him, who was also having a little bit of
little bit of trouble.
Now, tell me this. How bad do you feel now? You feel all right now, don't you, after seeing the master fall off?
No, well, I tell you what, it's got nothing to do with that at all. You guys got no idea sitting up here how bad it is out there.
Oh, we do. We can see it.
Well, you don't, mate, I tell you, because out there it is that bad. It is blowing unbelievable. It would be 90 kilometres an hour, some of the gusts.
Well, that wind, as you can hear from Guy Leach, is really picking up as the day goes by. Let's take another look at that Trevor Hendy incident. Here they are making their way up to the cans. Everything's going perfectly normal. Goes to put his hand in, spinning the board around, jammed up. Somebody's jammed on the inside.
Bashed. And off he goes.
Well, what's happened there, actually, is that while he's trying to push the board around the corner, the competitor that came up on the inside, that I think was Dean Mercer, his board popped down under the water. When it came up, it was under Trevor. Trevor's had got washed down on top of him. It came up underneath Trevor's board and just flipped him off. How easy can it happen? Well, there you go. Two of the greatest in the sport coming to grief on one of the turning cans. There's certainly been plenty of action there today. In fact, we've had one of the best board paddlers, Trevor Hendy, a multiple Australian champion and former world champion board paddler, comes off in the board. Scott Reeves, probably the best ski paddler, or one of the best ski paddlers in the field, comes off in the ski. All the good guys are coming off.
Leachy, I've got to ask you, you've been through all these races. You're at Piha last year, a bit different to this because it was just such big surf. But these conditions, how can you compare them? Are they the worst you've seen to race in?
Well, it's certainly not the swell. The swell's not big out there. It's only, you know, two or 3 feet a metre or so. It's just the wind aspect. It would be the worst I've ever been out in the water with as far as the race goes with the wind. But, I mean, Piha was life and death. This isn't life and death here. But, I mean, you saw Michael King have an accident and he's out of the race. So, I mean, things can happen. And, I mean, really, you're in a situation out there where you don't know where you're going to stay on your craft because of the gusts, the wind.
Well, I hope you're enjoying it back at home because you've got the best seat in the house to watch these guys do it. They're the best in the country. This is the Uncle Toby Super Series, and it's round 4, the pursuit. The board leg, 3 kilometres. Look at him getting runs now, flying across the top.
Making their way back towards the beach. This is what it's all about for the competitors. All that hard work out the back. Look at Wesberg up on the knees. You saw him just pop up high. He was skipping the board over a lump just to carry the maximum bit of lift through from that wave. It was unbelievable. He pulled about 40 metres. Well, here you can see Guy Andrews in the bright singlet on the right-hand side of your screen was almost level with him when he took off on that runner. Fantastic stuff there by Wes Berg, and what a great shot too, looking down from the chopper. That, I'm not sure who that is actually.
It looks like Drew Blatchford, yeah. It should be Drew Blatchford, and I've got to say that it is quite confusing when you look out there, because normally we're used to them going out and they go sideways, they come back in, and it's pretty simple like that. But over here, it seems to be that when they're trying to go straight, the waves are coming across them. When they're going across, the waves are coming straight at them, so you don't know which way they're going when you look at it. But another run yet again. That might be Wesberg again. He's out in front. He's making the most of it.
Well, Drew Blatchford has that unusual style. He lays down the whole way, and his board's unusual too. I should have picked that one. If you do see it again, the front of his board looks like it's been chopped off. It's a square nose board. It actually adds a bit of waterline, effective waterline length to the board. But his style, laying down, is not normally suited to these really rough conditions. It's not too bad in the flat, but in the rough, it's a lot harder to capitalise on opportunities. And in the background, somebody's pulled onto a wave. I can't quite tell who that was. But Drew Blatchford's style certainly working well for him today. He's going to push hard. That's him on the left of the screen. Will he get onto this wave? Right next to him, I think, is Nathan Meyer. They're all pushing hard to just capitalise on this little lift that could take them through, right through to the beach.
That's Wesberg. That's him there, stuck. And now he's going to have to catch up onto this wave that the rest of the competitors were on. Looked like Kai Hurst who managed to pull that one in over to the left-hand side. That should be him on the yellow board next to Drew Blatchford. And it's remarkable. These waves don't really have any formation on them. They're sort of haphazard. They're everywhere. Now Berg's back into it again. We're staying with him because he's getting the best kind of runs. That wave closes out on him. He's going to have to get in front of it, and does. Now he can lay down and get a bit of a breather, and almost, you know, puts the indicator on and says, I'm going left. I've got to head towards the middle of the beach.
Yes, and Scott Reeves, we can't see it on the screen, but way to the left, about 75 metres down the left of the beach. He's just come off his board. There he is there now. Has picked a great wave out the back. That was him that we saw a glimpse of earlier on go through the background of the picture. He will be the first to hit the beach, but he has to run about 75 to 100 metres back to the turning flag on the beach. So the competitors in a better position to come into the line, to the flag and turn around, I think are going to be Wes Berg will probably have the best line to the beach. Next to him, Nathan Meyer also will be in a fairly strong position. Here they are, up and running now. These two competitors really don't have that far to run along the beach. Scott Reeves will join them, so they will be some of the leaders as they come around this Uncle Toby's turning flag.
Let's get down to Tim Bailey, because, Tim, there's one guarantee. It's going to be madness and mayhem.
Well, here it comes. It's happening right now. Iceberg goes round. Nelly loses it, does lose it. Meyer goes through too. It's stock car material. Conditions down here. The wind's got the boards. The wind's got the boards going everywhere. They can't hang on to them. It's incredible. The conditions down here deteriorating. It's got to be blowing 90k an hour on the beach.
Well, take a look at the flags. Look at the flags on your screen. They're bent sideways. They're almost bent 90 degrees. And the trouble is that these competitors have to come around them to the right. Then they've got to wrap back around. As soon as they get around, the wind just spins it off like a top. And you've got to control it. The bad bit is that the other guys are coming from the left-hand side of your screen. So they're effectively running into each other. Now, try and do that anyway by yourself. Try and carry one of these things, run into each other while the wind's picking it up and blowing it. Look at that. Absolute madness and mayhem, but somehow they're going to negotiate it. Hope you can stay with us. They're sorting it all out. This is Goolwa. It's round 4 of the Uncle Toby. Stick around. Welcome back. You've joined us as they come back in on the board. To the right-hand side of your screen is Dwayne Thuys. To the left is Kai Hurst. And in they come. Look at Dwayne just fire away like he shot off with the burners and just burnt off Kai Hurst.
Yes, and further across, this is Wes Berg. That's Dwayne in the background, you can see now. And Wes Berg has pulled onto a wave. He's right alongside the jet ski, and that's going to bring him through. He's on a pretty good line, too, to come into the Solo Drinks Arch as he makes his way in. Out the back, Dwayne Thuys is on a wave. There's competitors coming from everywhere on waves out the back. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 competitors on waves now. Not that far behind race leader. So at the bottom of your screen, Wes Berg. Top right, just went out of picture, was Dwayne Thuys, who'll probably come through in second. In fact, Dwayne's now got this wave through. Look at him cornering across to the right-hand side of the screen. That's to bring himself closer to the turning, to the finish arch, where he's got to try and get to.
I tell you what, he's got him. He's got Wes Berg here. He's got him because he's going to pull in just a fraction off. Stands on the board and up and running. Now it's a race to the finish line. Now it's a sprint as Guy Andrews brings himself back into position as well. Look at Dwayne Thuys. Oh, in front of his home crowd, he's firing.
This has been a great day for Dwayne Thuys. He's had an absolutely fantastic day. He was the overall leader. He'll certainly be miles in front now.
And listen to the crowd.
Thuys through, starts that clock, counting down, big support from the crowd. Wes Berg through in second place.
Guy Andrews comes in 7 seconds behind. But what about Dwayne Thuys? There's Kai Hurst. I can't believe Dwayne. He's just fired up. I mean, he runs with so much emotion anyway. He competes with so much emotion. But down here, where he was brought up, they absolutely love him. And he's putting on a show like no other. That's Corey Hutchings comes in 26 seconds behind Dwayne on your Holden race clock. And we'll try and speak to Dwayne as soon as we can. We'll speak to anyone down there who's still got a breath. Now, Nathan Meyer comes in, 35, 36, the clock's ticking, and he's still got to go through the Solo Drink Tunnel at the moment. Let's get down to the sand with Tim Bailey.
Dwayne, incredible, the crowd on your side. What a day for you today.
Yeah, well, about time.
It's all about time. 34 years, 17 of racing. Today, the experience is showing in some of the toughest conditions you've ever raced in.
Yeah, well, Piha last year, we did it in monstrous surf. It was really hard, but today the surf's not that big, but the ski paddle we did before was the hardest. This is my 29th year of racing, and it's the hardest paddle I've ever done.
Thanks very much for sparing the energy, Dwayne. You go into the final run, the favourite, which is good news.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a commercial break. The excitement, the extreme conditions, it all continues after this break.
Welcome back to Goolwa. We are heading to the final leg of this pursuit. We're ready for the run. They have done 3 legs already, the swim, the ski, and they've just completed a 3 kilometres worth of crazy board. And these are the results. That's how they finished the board. So Dwayne Thuys continues to have a brilliant day. And our Vitabrits result sheet tells you that Wes Berg finished 2 seconds behind him. Guy Andrews just 6 seconds back there.
Drew Blatchford, Nathan Meyer, we can see. Trev Hendy came back up there, finishing in 11th, 1 minute and 18 seconds behind training partner And Stephen King, you can see Dean Mercer also in there. And Brett Tyack actually has had an up-and-down day. Also saw there Jonathan Crowe.
So that's how they finish race 3 all the way down. Remember, the points are really irrelevant. It's all about time, and we'll accumulate them for you in just a second and find out exactly who sits where as it becomes a case of catch me if you can. While we're doing this, the competitors are down at the beach getting these times written on their hands. Dwayne Thuys will start off first. A minute 21 seconds later, Nathan Meyer will try and chase him down. Simon Martin, 1:42 back. Dean Mercer's there, 2 minutes 50. They'll have a constant reminder on their hands exactly how far back they started, because they've got it in texter on their hands, and every time they look down, they know that that's what they're going to have to do to beat it, catch the guy out in front. Joshua Blair hasn't had a good day, 5 minutes and 56 seconds. He's got to make up in 5 kilometres. He'd need to be flat out the whole way if he's going to do anything like that. Grant Wilkinson in 30th position overall, and Leon Hay 12 minutes 17 behind. But Dwayne Thuys is the man to beat, and he stands there on the line at his home beach here in Goolwa. This is quite an emotional time for Dwayne Thuys. He has never won an Uncle Toby Super Series race in 9 years of trying. One of the originals, a veteran of the sport. He's off. Listen to the crowd.
Well, he is pumped, and that look on his face just before the gun went off was a real look of nervousness from Dwayne Thuys, that real serious competitor attitude that we haven't seen for quite some time. He's been in this sport, one of the first competitors in the Uncle Toby Super Series. He's one of the original 12 from 9 years ago. He's competed in every event we've had, or every series we've had so far. And Dwayne Thuys, I don't think, has ever been in a position where he's had this much chance of winning. One season about 5 years back in the opening race, it was a 2-hour race, and he was right up there the whole way at Service Paradise also on his home beach at the time, and ended up finishing in second place. His old training mate Trev Hendy came through and knocked him off right at the end, but at that time he really looked like he was going to be able to go through and do it. Today though, that real drive was back. You could see the look in his eyes. He's going to work so hard.
And he goes around the Holden 4x4 turn. 53 seconds has ticked off. Gee, it's a lonely old time down there as he shot off down the beach. There's absolutely nobody down there until he gets down to that Holden Frontiera. So he's got a lot of time to think. And now he's heading straight back into that headwind. We saw Dwayne Guy at the start. He was nervous. He was pumped up. And that's a pretty good sign.
It's a great sign, actually. He hasn't been like that for a long time. Hasn't been in a position to win a race. And as Grant said earlier, at Service Paradise, he had that chance, as we see here. Nathan Meyer heads off, who is in great form running at the moment, and showed that only 2 weeks ago at Trigg Island in Western Australia. But Dwayne went out very, very hard. It's just a sign of the nerves that he's got, and I hope he doesn't go out too hard in this race and really die.
Well, it would be an emotional victory, and I'm sure the two guys sitting beside me, Grant Kenny and Guy Leach, would also be very happy if their old mate Dwayne Thuys got up and won it. Simon Martin takes off now. Right behind him, Guy Andrews, and next to go behind Guy Andrews is Jonathan Crowe. So they're really starting to fire off now. Coring Hutchings will wait up and take his turn at around about the 2 minute and 2 second or 3 second mark. So the rest of them, look at the nerves. They take a look. They're not looking at their watch. They're looking at their hands, and they're looking at that time, saying, now's my time to get going. I've got to ask you the question, 5 kilometres worth of running. Can you make up that amount of time? If you look down, Nathan Meyer's 1 minute 21 seconds back. That's definitely a gettable target, isn't it?
Well, the beauty with this race is that we don't have the best runner in first position going off. Dwayne Thuys isn't one of the best runners in the field. He's a waterman, and he's good in extreme conditions, which he's shown today. That's why he's gone off first, but he isn't a Guy Andrews or a Scott Thompson, who is a known runner. Now, the beauty with this is there is a chance that maybe Nathan Meyer or Guy Andrews, or even Simon Martin for that part, or someone like Stephen King, if he does a good run, could catch Dwayne Thuys. So that's what we should be looking for.
Well, Stephen King just went off. Now the next competitor will take off as well. That's Kane Houston. And look at Dean Mercer. He's got the nice white runners on. He'll be pretty dirty by the time he's finished. But tactics, Guy Andrews was considering wearing his, and he still didn't know until just before the race whether or not he takes his runners out there or not. Kai Hurst now steps up, and he gets going as well. Out in front, though, it's Dwayne Thuys, and we'll keep an eye, of course, on him as he heads up this 5 kilometre track. Look at that. As we said, it's a lonely old race, this one. This is probably the toughest race all year. Around the Holden 4x4 turn, almost heading up now in the home stretch to complete his first lap.
This is when Dwayne will have a real good look at where he is relative to the rest of the competitors coming. He's striding out now downwind, just 3.5 minutes into this run leg. Nathan Meyer, I can tell you now, is 1 minute and 1:16 behind. He started 1:21 behind. He has picked up about 5 seconds in one lap. There are 5 laps. So how much is it going to be at the end? I tell you what, it'll really tell. Dwayne Thuys now, because he's not one of the stronger runners, may tend to tire a little bit more than the good runners like Nathan Meyer and Guy Andrews and these sorts of people. But Thuys, he's got adrenaline on his side. He's got a home crowd. They're really giving him a pump up. And if he can stay in tune, if he can just keep his wits about him, Guy Leach, he really has a great chance of going on from here.
Well, he does, and we see him on the screen. He's downwind now. He's got that big breeze at about 40 knots. As someone comes up right behind him, you'll see coming to screen at the moment. I think that's Brett Tyke, who's gone off a lap behind him. You'll see coming to screen any second here. But Dwayne Thuys is downwind at the moment, which makes it a lot easier. Into the wind, you'll find their technique. They lean forward very much so, their upper body, to try to push into that wind and to try to give themselves some sort of momentum forward.
How do you time yourself in this race? Because you've got people coming. You just saw then Brett Tyke, who took off behind Dwayne Thuys, all of a sudden zips past him. So Dwayne's trying to get his own rhythm going. Add to that, he's got a strong wind pushing him down, and he's got a hell of a wind fighting back into it. Can you get any sort of rhythm?
Well, you'll find someone like Brett Tyke, when there's 5 laps to do around here, his first lap will be much faster than his other ones. He's gone out very hard. He's got a lot of adrenaline. As with Dwayne, we saw Dwayne go out very, very quickly, and he's settled into a pace now. But what Dwayne was trying to do is he thought, I've got a minute 21 on Nathan Meyer. Let's make him think right from the start that I'm going out very strong and have him think that there's no way he can catch me. And he's running for second.
Experience versus youth. 34 years of age, Dwayne Thuys. He is the oldest competitor by exactly 1 year from Scott Thompson in this series. He really is a veteran and a terrific bloke as well. Compare that to Nathan Meyer, 22 years old. And the thing they do have in common is a World Ironman title. Nathan got it in the short course in 1996, and Dwayne won it back in 1983, a World Ironman title. So you certainly got the cream of the crop right here at Goolwa Beach, and a fascinating race this is going to be.
Okay, Nathan Meyer, I can tell you, has closed another 3 seconds in the second half. So he's now pulled 8 seconds in one full lap on Dwayne Thuys. It's not a lot, Leach. I thought if he was going to be able to pass him, I mean, he really does need to take more, just on average and simple maths, dividing it by 5, the 5 laps of the run leg. He really needs to be making up more ground than that on Dwayne Thuys.
Well, as we see Nathan on the screen right now in second position, as you do your mathematics, that isn't enough, Matty. And, I mean, we're in a situation, unless Dwayne slows down, or unless Nathan gets faster, Dwayne Thuys will get to the finish line unless Guy Andrews comes through at a very fast rate.
And remember when Corey Hutchings won his first race a couple of races back, Nathan Meyer finished such a close second. I'm pretty sure that's right. And I remember that Nathan Meyer said, well, you never feel bad about losing to a guy who's been there for so long and has yet to get a victory under his belt. So that was really terrific. Look at Guy Andrews. He's got 10 Super Series victories under his belt, and he's looking for 11. He's trying to close in on Trevor Hendy, who's the nearest or is the furthest away with 16 overall victories. So Guy Andrews slaps that Holden banner as he goes through. He always races with aggression as he goes around the Holden Frontier and heads on back up. And I might just take a minute to thank our friends at City Holden in Adelaide for supplying these cars. They've got the Holden Frontiers down here on the beach. I've got to say they've got the hell of a battering, but they're pretty tough and they'll stand up to it. And also thanks to lending us a Holden Jackaroo, a nice car. We've driven it around Goolwa. We've had a wonderful time. And that is Brett Tyke. Looks like Brett Tyke still charging in his first lap.
Guy Andrews, just when you talk tactics for a minute, as we watch Dwayne Thuys head back up into the wind, Guy Andrews has tactically, he's run down on the run back in where it's normally softer sand. He's gone way down the beach into the hard sand. Of course, he needs to do that because he's wearing shoes.
Well, there's $15,000 up for grabs for the guy who can get across the line first. There's also a pretty good present waiting for him and her. In this case, the winner of the Meadowlee Iron Women's Series, which was Carla today. These are the Citizen watches, the independent fashion watches. They retail for $225 each. Pretty classy looking piece of machinery there. You can whack that on your wrist afterwards and celebrate this victory. And Dwayne Thuys will certainly be looking forward to putting that on and taking the 15 grand. But don't worry about that. He wants the victory because he's so hungry for it, possibly hungrier than anyone else out in that field.
Dwayne Thuys, 1 minute and 9 seconds ahead of Nathan Meyer as we're into the last leg of the pursuit here at Goolwa. We'll be back right after this break to continue the run leg.
On Crime Time
Welcome back to the closing stages here at Goolwa for the Uncle Toby Super Series. This is the final lap for Dwayne Thuys in the pursuit format. He started off with a 1:21 break over his nearest competitor, which was Nathan Meyer, and now Nathan has made up some ground, around about 30 seconds in fact, but Dwayne is on his last lap. He's going to cross down here. In front of him is Matthew Rees. Now Dwayne Thuys is going to come around this Holden 4x4 turn. He's heading now up the beach. Now he's heading up the beach, so he's still got one full lap or full side of this side of the beach to come up. Let's take a look at his Energy Plus white bread profile. Dwayne Thuys, 22nd place last year. His best overall finish has been 3rd, and no matter what you read here, he has competed in every series since back in 1989, and you know what? He's yet to win a race. Well, today could be Dwayne's day down here at Goolwa Beach. I might just get a comment from Tim Bailey, who's right among the crowd down there. Tim, the atmosphere must be absolutely fantastic for this home crowd.
It's every bit of that, Matty. They are absolutely lapping it up. They go up as one every time Dwayne Thuys runs down this main straight. He's heading now into an 80k an hour wind. There is sand going everywhere. It is blasting him, and I don't think he could care less. Today, he will fulfill a 9-year dream. This will be a very special moment indeed in Uncle Toby's history. He's not known for his running. What he's known for is his heart, and he stood up today. I'd reckon Grant Kenny and Guy Leach would be very proud of him. I reckon there'll be some serious celebrating going on. This is a fantastic moment.
I'll tell you about a moment. There's a wonderful moment on your screen right now. Two of the veterans of the sport, a legend in Trevor Hendy, is running beside Dwayne Thuys. He knows that Dwayne's got this one wrapped up, looks behind him and says, come on, mate, I want you to do it because I can't get it. And that's just a wonderful moment. They had a little bit of a chat up there. You can't help but get goosebumps out of this. If you know anything about Ironman racing, you know how much this is going to mean to a bloke like Dwayne Thuys. And like Tim said, to all his mates as well who have been there with him throughout the year. The best thing about it is that he's going to do it in front of his home crowd.
Absolutely. Well, Nathan Meyer has been a big mover. He didn't catch up much in the first 3 laps, but in the last lap, he's pulled about another 20 seconds. Dwayne is really starting to show some signs of pain. He's been running behind Matt Rees, who started some 6 or 7 minutes behind him, I'm sorry. So he's a lot fresher. He's been there to break the wind on the way up. Leachy, that does have a big impact, doesn't it, in these sort of conditions?
Yeah, well, Matt Rees actually started after 8 minutes behind Dwayne, which was 2 laps, meant 2 laps. So he started off very fresh. Dwayne, who tired after going out so hard, and Nathan Meyer is catching him. He got to run with Matt Rees and actually work off his pace, and consequently that's pulled him through. And there's Nathan Meyer, who in the last lap's caught something like 20 seconds, so he's still in a chance. He's 45 seconds now behind Dwayne Thuys, and there's not much of the race to go, but he is pulling him in at a fast rate.
Look at the face of Dwayne Thuys. He comes around. That's the last turn he has to come around. He's in the home stretch now, and stand by for what will be a spectacular moment in Ironman racing in this country, because Dwayne Thuys is on his way to victory, and what a wonderful piece of emotion we'll get out of this, because Nathan Meyer couldn't chase him down unless he puts on something fantastic. And look at that, a hand on the way. This is fantastic stuff. Dwayne Thuys on his way here. He's dominated this pursuit. He's been in position absolutely everywhere to get himself exactly where he wants to be, and they love it. The other competitors are now clapping him in front. This is wonderful. Trevor Hendy clapped. He's clapping, and he's still running Trevor Hendy in front, and that really is remarkable. But here comes Dwayne Thuys, 9 years in the making, and look at that spectacular stuff. He's done it. He's finally done it. A home beach victory and a piece of history for Dwayne Thuys.
Absolutely magnificent stuff. I saw his mum Willie down there. She was going off. She was so excited. That's when Dwayne started leaping in the air. Dwayne Thuys, you are a legend. A 2 times Australian Ironman champion. He's been up to this for every year since 1989. He's now come through and won. He is down on the beach now with Tim Bailey.
Dwayno, there's the money, but it's not about money. $15,000. This is a dream come true. 9 years.
9 years. I think Trevor and I counted 56 Uncle Toby's races. And, wow, tastes sweet.
Look, there's a person over there. It's your mum. She just can't believe it.
Like for about that long as well. This is my 29th year of racing, and you know, I always believed that. I always believed I had a good chance of it.
Mrs. Thuys, now there's a kiss that says it all, and there's a hug that's been 9 years coming, ladies and gentlemen. A fantastic moment. Yeah. Dwayne Thuys and his mum, his greatest supporter.
Well, it's been 1983. I first won my world title. 1985 and 86, I won an Australian title, and basically I've won jack since. You know, but of just the support I had, you know, it's just unreal. I'm really happy for my sponsor, Bartercard. They've stuck with me through last year. I got 21st. You know, that wasn't what I'd call my best result, but you know, they had some. You know, they knew I could do it, and so did I, so it was unreal.
A special moment when you ran up the straight there. The wind's blowing at 80k an hour, and Trevor Hendy runs up.
I think I was leaping. I was going far further than Carl Lewis. Thanks, Guy.
All right, thank you very much, Dwayne Thuys. 9 years in the making, a very special moment. Congratulations.
In Adelaide too, you know, I mean, you can't go past that. I had a second last time we were here at Goolwa. I've had every place in the top 20 bar first.
Guess what? You've now had every place. A fantastic win for Dwayne Thuys. We'll take a commercial break, regain composure, and see you after this.
Well, we're going to stay with this emotion, actually. Tim, good work down there. You've got a man of the moment, and it really will be worth watching as the other guys come across, because they're all over him, aren't they? I mean, normally there's a couple of congratulations, there's a couple of high fives, but this is something special because these guys have been here with Dwayne Thuys for so long. I can tell you also that Nathan Meyer came in second position, and Guy Andrews leapfrogged Simon Martin to come in third, with Jonathan Crowe fourth, Simon Martin fifth, and from there on we'll update them as we get back. But let's go back down the beach now, because it's all happening for Tim Bailey.
I'll tell you what, there's some emotion down here on the sand. Nathan, I don't know if you were more pleased getting second, but to see a mate like that and a person you've looked up to for years, Dwayne Thuys, going across for his first ever win.
He's just, you know, he's given me so much in the sport. It's probably why I've got 3 seconds in a row. Just like full credit to Dwayne. It's just unreal to see him win. He's 34 years old. I've got 10 years left to do that, so unreal.
So let me ask you then, when you were chasing, there was a part of you that thought, well, hang on a minute, I'd love him to win.
Oh yeah, I went as hard as I could, but you know, he just had it today. He had the biggest heart, and yeah, there was a little bit in the back there just going, oh, I'd love to see Dwayne win.
Well, guess what? He has. Congratulations on a great second place. You're in fine form yourself. Matty, back to you.
Right, Tim, thank you. Thank you also to Nathan Meyer and, of course, Tim Bailey down there on the beach. Wonderful scenes here at Goolwa. A home beach victory for Dwayne Thuys. And as I said, a piece of history. Stick around. We'll wrap it all up for you on the other side of this break. Christmas has come early for Dwayne Thuys in the form of his first ever Uncle Toby Super Series victory in Grant Kenny as a fellow competitor back in your days, and as Dwayne's best mate. That's an emotional moment, isn't it?
Certainly is, and he really has, you know, made the elite. He was always up there. He's a great friend of mine, and I tell you what, as a competitor, he was always somebody that I admired and respected, and it's great to see him still here after 29 years and having a win in what really is the elite of Ironman racing, the Uncle Toby Super Series. An absolute credit to him. I think it comes really from experience in what we've seen is probably the most difficult conditions of all times. He comes through, that's experience.
Conditions? I'm just about to get blown over. We're going to check the series points for you. In fact, today's results points instead. Dwayne Thuys collects 35 points. Don't worry about that. He just wanted the victory. That's how they finished the top 6. Meyer and Andrews filling 2nd and 3rd position right down through the field. Corey Hutchings in 7th and Trevor Hendy in 12th. But the story of the day here was all about Dwayne Thuys. Everything is revolving around this guy because he's from this beach and he is a veteran. He's been competing in the Uncle Toby Super Series since way back in 1989. Now, the points on the right-hand side of the screen, they are vital. Why? Because they go to the end of the year in the Super Series as far as adjusted series points goes. And this is how they look now. When we went into this, there was 3 guys at the top on equal points. Now, Nathan Meyer has the lead by 1 point, 102 to 101. Joshua Blair slips back to 3rd. And let's see where Dwayne Thuys has come up. Unfortunately, he's still not in the top 10. This is easily his best result.
Certainly
not just history, but also today, of course.
Well, he was 22nd last year, and he was 21st going into this race. Great to see him now up to 13th position. Kai Hurst in 14th too, incidentally, so that's quite good from him. And Sean Parks in 23rd position there overall. Gee, he had a great run today. We didn't see much of him, but it was a great run.
And don't forget, of course, the Craig Hackett didn't make it through, and also Michael King was had to pull out as well because of injury. A really fantastic day here, and the conditions, as we've said all day, have been quite hard, quite horrible. They're still going to because the wind is blowing. This is what's next. The triple sprint, round 5 at Wanderoo in Sydney. That's the Uncle Toby's Ironman. The women will also be there as well. Check your local guides for details. That's it from Goolwa. Have a great Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time.
What's happened is the wind forcing the guys back down onto the can.
Now Kai Hurst gets himself a wave and he's off. So Kai Hurst has got the swim, got race 1 of his pursuit wrapped up and ready to go.
And they're off now.
Glenn Cowdrey just caught, stopped dead right next to the can. There's another competitor there.
Dean Mercer has missed the can.
Oh, Reeves is off. Scotty Reeves is off. And he has to put, look at that, has to put the legs over the side.
But the Seagulls are going backwards down here. It's incredible. It's bedlam down here.
Jonathan Crowe is still in front and still looking strong. That's Guy Leach's ski. That's what's happened to Guy Leach's ski. That's the leading pack as they put their heads down and really fire away back into that. Look at the swell.
Look at Wesberg up on the knees. You saw him just pop up high.
Conditions down here. The wind's knocked the ball.